So, do we need banter or do we already have something there?
Uh, I think that's enough banter, probably.
Cool. So we have to banter more for the entire episode.
I mean, I have some '90s stuff to chit chat about, and then we could just go in.
Okay.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon. At least 70 million of you. You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Instagram and Bluesky and Truth Social at namely90s. Which, by the way,
it's just X.
The
it's just X now.
stock exchange symbol is DJT. Did you know that for Truth Social?
So. Yeah, I think you said that before.
That's horrible.
It's always fun to see DJT tank,
every Monday at youtube.com/namely90s. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, send all the money that you were sending to the Kamala Harris campaign to us at patreon.com/namely90s. Nope, just namely90s. And sign up for one of our support levels, like level orange. Anyway. Oh man, well, here we are.
Yeah.
We've survived just. Interestingly,
have we really?
I was just
who
watched
died?
The CNN coverage.
Yeah.
I watched the CNN coverage, and obviously Anderson Cooper was part of it, although most of what I watched was like Jake Tapper. But anyway, I was listening to Loveline today from 2001, January, and the guest was Anderson Cooper.
Oh, interesting.
He was the host of that show, The Mole. Do you remember The Mole?
No, I remember Anderson Cooper 360.
I think an early 2000s show. It was after he was like a wartime correspondent.
I do actually remember The Mole. It was like a Fox reality TV show.
Yeah, so he was on there promoting that, and it was a good episode actually.
Oh.
And then it reminded me that someone was it you that told me about the person whose dog was named Anderson Cooper?
I thought. No, I thought you told me that.
That's a hilarious name for a dog. Ripped to the max, Anderson Pooper, who was eaten by Haitian immigrants, according to Donald Trump.
Yeah, actually,
that's not me talking. I'm quoting somebody else.
Anderson Cooper.
Could be.
Actual Rip to the max this week. Elwood Edwards, AOL's You Got Mail voice. It's Elwood Edwards. Yeah, he was noted for being the voice of AOL You've Got Mail, which is still my email ringtone to this day.
Wow.
Also, Rip to the max, one of our Instagram followers. We're not going to cause a flame war here, but just. He sent us a nice comment after I posted our fun YouTube cover for last week.
It was Donald Trump dressed up as a traffic cone.
Yes, I took that image and put Palpatine's head on it because we did another round of Trump or Palpatine, something we did 4 years ago last week. And I gotta read the comment.
Do it.
His bio.
Namely 90s reads mean tweets.
Yeah, sorry, not to dox you, bro, but your bio says God and family, Louisiana raised, Texas living, work hard, play harder with a wrench emoji, a motorcycle emoji, a snowboarding emoji, a roller coaster emoji, a bicycle emoji, a speedboat emoji, and an umbrella emoji. That's the only way that you'll find this person if you actually care. I want to thank you for following us for however long you have, because it had been about at least 6 months. but he unfollowed us, I think. But shout out to you, man, because clearly you didn't listen to an episode of the podcast, but you supported us on Instagram and appreciated that. And he said, well, asterisk -1 period. Lost another good 90s podcast. You couldn't just keep it 90s. Had to go all liberal. He didn't put the apostrophe for 90s. So again, points to this man. He is educated. TDS is a real thing. I literally said that right before I said this. Sorry. TDS is a real thing. Sad. TDS, which is not an acronym for The Daily Show. Apparently,
hey, another 90s podcast lost. Is this common?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm assuming he found like our friends over at Snescapades and then followed them for at least 3 years before. Yeah,
the Snescapades people are MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, clearly,
obviously,
clearly. They go much harder than us.
So we had to look up. I had to look up TDS because I didn't.
I had heard it before. I just couldn't remember what it was.
It's like a fiber internet company in Spokane, North
No, it's
Idaho.
the Daily Show. It's the Daily Show's new acronym. If you didn't know, it's been since Jon Stewart came back, and I think
interesting.
The
That
end
been
of the Noah
intentional?
era.
So,
Probably.
for those of you who don't know, it's the ultimate gaslighting term. But I got to credit the conservatives and especially the MAGA Republicans for being probably the world's best gaslighters.
Absolutely.
Basically, TDS refers to Trump derangement syndrome, which refers to people like us, basically, who abhor the individual. And we basically it's perceived as like overreacting, and it's basically like you're deranged.
You know, by the
ultimate gaslighting is like the people who would actually support that jackass are the actual deranged ones.
Yeah. By the end of this presidency, we will be locked up. I would say 53%.
Yeah, it depends on how far back they go with the immigration. Like, yeah, you're pretty close.
I am technically on my mom's side, even though American citizen. No, yeah.
First.
So second, because born in Okinawa, I want to say military base. I don't actually know. So at least first or second gen, mom's side.
So you'll be deported.
Yep. First I'll be placed in the internment camps.
Let's talk about gaslighting. Like when the COVID restrictions came out.
Should we first say this is not going to be a normal episode? This is just going to be us yelling into the void. So if you're here for 90s content, wait a week. We'll be back. But yeah,
during the COVID lockdown, there were these like stocky women who were mad they couldn't get a mullet at the salon. Mm-hmm. And then they were like marching around outside with "My Body, My Choice" signs. Talk about gaslighting, right?
Yeah. And then immediately repealed Roe v. Wade. Also, shout out to our friend Wisecracking Blancastina, who liked my reply, which I feel like I was very genial. I was genial. Thanks for your support up till meow. Clearly, you haven't listened to many episodes because our third episode was in support of BLM, and we've never hidden that we're liberals from the Seattle area originally. We did talk about the 1996 elections in this episode, which, yeah, I think the most 90s thing you're going to get from us today is "You've Got Mail" voice died. And also, I've been playing the Pokemon trading card game Pocket mobile game. Kind of slaps.
I'm just going to let everyone know, just in case there was any lack of clarity. Mm-hmm. We both voted for Kamala Harris, and correct. I would not change that for anything.
Absolutely not.
Now, it's not a secret to you anyway that, like, I would say I don't disagree with certain conservative, like, thought processes on certain things, right?
You know, more so than me, but yeah, like, I would like to be fiscally conservative, but
yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, there is a lot of inefficiency. There's things we could fix, and I think most people would like.
You're anti-union.
True. Well,
I'm kidding.
Let's go back to that. Most people would agree, and then most people do agree. Like when you look at the surveys and things, like that, we shouldn't systematically allow illegal immigration. Like people are generally against that. I would say I'm one of those people, but I'm not necessarily. Like, just the thought of the infrastructure, the money, to deport 11 million people. I was watching CNN right before this, and it comes out because it costs about $11,000 to detain someone and deport them. Times 11 million is roughly $345 billion.
Wow.
Which is insane.
That's, yes. Plus the fact that they're most likely running the infrastructure of this country. Not running, they are the building blocks of it, though. Like,
yeah,
we wouldn't have food. We wouldn't have wouldn't have food. We wouldn't have commodities. We wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have fast food. We wouldn't have any job that no one wants.
But then some Republican mouthpieces on CNN, because they've started adding, counterpoints, which is good, I guess. When the guy basically, without saying, he basically said they took our job. Like, it'll make it less competitive for American workers. It's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, but craziness.
But yeah,
in any case, like, I would probably vote for a very moderate Republican if we had a very very, very ultra left wing, Democratic candidate potentially, if they abandoned some of the rhetoric, but
I would vote for a socially liberal Republican.
So you mean like an actual Christian, not an evangelical
exactly.
American Christian?
Oddly enough, a Mormon. Like,
yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Romney really hit spots. I wouldn't have back then. I didn't vote for Romney, but
Mitt Romney's starting to look pretty good.
Yeah, well, because this is something that we've talked about. And by the way, everyone, you're not alone out there if you think like us and feel like some sort of despair after the election. That this is Colbert said it best. He was glad to have a show after the day after the election because it was a way of showing support for the other half of the country that feels terrified right now by all of the rhetoric that our 47th president has been spewing over the last 4 years. But just like I've always said that if you look at the conservatism of like Bill O'Reilly, his mouthpiecing back 20 years ago is considerably moderate compared to,
it's quaint, even, you could say.
Like, I know he's still kind of a mouthpiece now, but because I saw him, he did an interview with Jon Stewart when Jon Stewart came back to the Daily Show, and he's still Bill O'Reilly, but you can tell he's like, things have gotten out of hand.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it. I said that the other day. No one got what I was saying. Yeah.
Does it? And then do you believe that Tucker Carlson now looks like a bloated corpse?
Yes. That laughs like gas is escaping from his mouth hole. Did you see him at the Madison Square Garden rally? Like, he laughs like, which, yeah.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing. I mean, I look like a bloated corpse too, to be fair. I really ate too much salt today. No, but oh my gosh, though, I was. My point is, I voted for the adult in the room.
Yeah.
And I would consider myself a Democrat, just generally speaking. Like, I agree more with their stuff, but in this case, it was very much like a vote against Trump, but also for the adult in the room. That's kind of how I viewed it this time. Although in my state, the presidential vote doesn't really matter too much.
Same. And congratulations, people that voted third party this time in blue states. It's still, we get it. Your vote doesn't matter because you know that we would take out.
Literally nothing worse than those people that say, I don't like either one. It's like, well, you're going to have to choose, because even if you don't choose, guess what? You're choosing.
You have, It just, I mean, that's my same take on religion. Even if you're an atheist, that's still faith in something, man. it takes all kinds. But
It takes all kinds. I feel like Adam Carolla.
That's where I got that statement from.
Speaking of Adam Carolla,
Did he back Trump too?
No, I was just going to go about the Dana White thing. It just reminded me. So Trump is giving this, for those of you who didn't watch it, he's giving this basically like victory speech, which, to his credit, like he did win.
Yeah.
And he just started having people coming up and taking the mic. And Dana White, who I guess is like the UFC creator or the guy who sort of commercialized
like the chief
comes up, does a whole bit, and he said something like, what was it, like,
thank you, Joe Rogan.
And God bless the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump came up and started talking about fucking spaceships and making the spaceship hand gestures. I kid you not, I was cry laughing watching, not cry, like not a sad cry. I was laughing so hard I began crying.
I was on the phone the other day and I was thinking, I'm going to be president so this person can wait for me. And I look out the window and I see, you know what I see? I see this beautiful thing falling from the sky. It's just falling from the sky. I almost put a tear in my eye. Another man would have cried, put tears in their eyes. I put my tears in their eyes. And I go over to the phone and I call up Elon and I'm like, Elon, is that you? And he says, you know what he says? He says, yeah, that's me, Donald. That's me. That's me.
Beautiful spaceships. Beautiful spaceships.
It's like, what are you talking about?
If nothing else, I mean, I was cry laughing, but if nothing else, at least we can look forward to just completely off the wall tangents during speeches that just make no earthly sense.
Because you and I have the privilege of being at least 50% white men.
Yeah, being a white man living in Western Washington, I feel pretty safe over here.
Yeah. I believe I still live in the lowest crime rate city of California. So,
well, it's because it's a red part of California.
Well, it's blue because it's a college town. Everything outside of the city is red.
But I think the problem was
and gentrifying.
So a lot of America voted on the issues. So big issue number one is the economy, right?
The economy.
The problem is, well, I mean, the economy is it's not amazing. It's not as bad as it was. I don't think I think people rush to credit or blame the sitting president for the economy, but frankly, economics is so complicated that
it's the previous president.
The head of state probably doesn't even make that much of a difference in general.
You know
what I mean?
It's like Trump
hiring
says
the head coach of a football team. There's a million reasons the football team is awful. You just sometimes fire the coach to shake it up and see if it kind of works some things loose,
But the first 2 years, you're coasting off of the previous president, which was Obama's economy, which was on an upswing going into Trump.
Making the point that I think this is where America was coming from, and
idiocy,
they felt the
short-sightedness.
They felt the economy was the number one issue, and they voted on that issue. I don't think you can stand up and say illegal immigration is the number two issue facing our country.
No.
And win an election on the basis of we're going to deport all of them.
Which, by the way, do you know who deported more people during their either presidency or vice presidency?
Barack Obama. No.
Kamala Harris. Yes. Joe Biden. Joe Biden's Joe Biden's term has deported, I would say, I think 3 times the amount of people that Trump did. Which I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's something that happened.
But do let me go off on unions, though. Unions are very much like a leftist principle.
I mean, it was.
You're uniting as the people to get the things that you deserve. And of course, we've talked about this, unions, when it was to get fire exits and not be literally padlocked into the building where you're working in, made a lot of sense. Now, the problem you've got is you've got MAGA Republicans. Let's take Boeing, for example. You've got a workforce that's probably mostly MAGA Republicans. Tell me I'm wrong. Striking for nearly 60 days to ratify a contract where they get something like 40% pay increase while building planes whose doors fly off of them.
Mhm.
Like, some of the blame goes to the Boeing office or whatever, but like knowing that a lot of the employees are just hopped up on speed and slapping these things together as fast as they can. This is a true statement, by the way. Many of them are on speed. And the fact that all these people are standing out there, supporting a union when they shouldn't be union people.
Right.
Because their party doesn't really, conservatism doesn't really fit with unions. And then they're going to like take it to big business, right? And then elect someone who's going to cut taxes for big business to theoretically stimulate job growth, stimulate the economy. Well, it just increases the amount of private jets they can buy. You know what I mean? It's all just a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm. And it's astonishing to me that the takeaway that a lot of the pundits have is that the liberals have abandoned the working class, and it's like, no, they're the ones still trying to protect you. And again, this is coming from a West Coast elitist. You're too stupid to realize that. And that's fair. I get it. You don't like being condescended to. I don't like being condescended to. You're dumb.
No, I don't think that's condescending. I think that's just telling the truth.
No, you're biting the hand that feeds, and it's not. I guess and the cool way that Trump goes about being anti-establishment. It's not cool. You're a cult. Yes, fair. I have TDS. I don't care. I'm the Daily Show. But like,
I just don't think. I think it's such a shitty move to call it Trump derangement syndrome. When like, here's what I'm deranged about. He said a high-ranking Republican senator, Liz Cheney, should be brought in front of a firing squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not joking. It's not hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking said it.
Yep.
I should be outraged by that. I am outraged by that.
Yeah.
The fact that he eliminated anyone who disagreed with him from his own party and got the support to do that, that's outrageous. I'm sorry. Like, if you believe in that and you believe talking about senators being killed by firing squads is appropriate, you have Trump derangement syndrome.
Indeed. Yeah. Full stop. And it's telling that none of his previous staff is supported him. And the fact that this man is now surrounded by charlatans, he has the same cognitive decline that Joe Biden has. Let's be honest. The man, I get he was probably tired and hopped up on speed in the final weeks of the election because he was doing 4 rallies a day. But before that, he was jacking off ghosts to the YMCA and talking about the size of Arnold Palmer's dick. And it's entertaining. I get it. It's entertaining. Give him a podcast. Give him a reality TV show again. And that'll replace the Big Bang Theory on CBS. And
give him a country. Let's just give him a country.
Give him a small country. Give him like an island. Give him an island, maybe one that his people referred to as garbage. Let him run that for a little while. See how the people there enjoy his rhetoric, and then just put him in the sandbox. Put him in the sandbox. Let him play. But like everything that he said during this election cycle is terrifying, including the firing squad for Liz Cheney, the taking back, just the concept of taking back America, making America great again. It feels like we are at the end of the Roman Empire. Like, I know that's hyperbole. I know that half the country will get up and fight and be more resolved in the next election cycle. But this 2-party bicameral bullshit system, bicameral?
I think that
Anyway.
means there's the House and Senate.
Yeah, that's
2 chambers.
That's what it is. This two-party system
yeah, bipolar, one can say.
Manic,
warning, I guess.
at the very least, or I guess that's more than bipolar. I can't. I need a week. And thank you, listeners, for listening to us rant.
Oh, and let's also talk about like the fact that Trump won probably has more to do with the issues and Americans voting on those rather than the person and their own and the person's individual character.
What issues does he stand for?
The problem is they've emboldened the a-holes that are like, yeah, that's right. Then now we can make it back to where there's only 2 genders. And it's like, God, I hope you have a trans kid like that. I mean, I don't hope that for your kid,
right?
But I hope that you have a reckoning where you have to decide. And if you're the type of person who disowns your child because they come out as gay or are trans, like you have Trump derangement syndrome and you should burn in hell. Like that's the worst possible kind of person you can be.
Yes.
So for you to like cast stones at people, like, yes, I hope you have to deal with something like that because it'll either reveal your humanity, reveal the fact that you should be struck by a vehicle. Well, like, you know what I mean? Those are the 2 possible outcomes.
And then after being struck by a vehicle, RFK Jr. will come up, take your corpse, and then eat it.
Yeah. We pause briefly for the RFK Science Corner. Let's see. Fluoride's an industrial waste that causes you to become infertile. And what else does it do? Mind control. But not the same kind of mind control as the worm that just burrowed into your cerebrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see over last weekend, there's like a Reddit thread or something that people are like, there was a dolphin that was like drawn and quartered in New Jersey or something and like strewn along a beach. And they're like, where was it RFK Jr. during all this?
He needs an alibi.
Yeah, he kind of does. But NGL. But yeah, I really hope that Trump was just BSing people about giving him everything but the oil. Leave the oil to me, Bobby.
It's a really scary notion that someone that deranged and delusional would actually be in charge of like
he did it during his
care.
He did it during his health care. No, I think the specific quote was put him in charge of the health, put him in charge of the women's health, put him in charge of making the country healthier again. Just leave the oil to me. Just leave the liquid gold to me. But I mean, during this first term, an issue I actually care about, he like rolled back net neutrality and put the internet under the control of the FCC, instead of the FTC, which allows for internet companies to throttle your internet. There's no regulation to keep it as a utility that's not like that's not used by capitalism to make us suffer. And I'll be fair, it didn't get as crazy as I thought it would have by this point, but I just had to upgrade $40 for a better internet plan or a better phone plan. Like we reversed it, but it's still, the ramifications are still going to be affecting us for a while, and I don't know, into these next 4 years. But neither of us will survive. I'm sure I have hypertension just talking about all this.
Yeah, I feel my eye twitching.
Should my left arm feel numb?
Do you smell burnt toast?
That's a stroke.
Yeah, that's true.
I think. And maybe I burned some toast earlier.
Oh man. I mean, we kind of botched it a little bit though, right? I mean,
oh, totally.
Here's the thing. I think in 2024, we as an industrialized country should be able to elect a female president,
Correct.
a woman president. And I
Correct.
think that they could do as good, if not better, of a job as a man.
Wholeheartedly.
But I think right now we need to refocus on winning again,
Mm.
because even if it's not just or whatever, like we gotta just start winning again. And then we can try to change the world. But right now, unfortunately, the world we live in is an archaic world where rooms full of white men are making decisions about women's bodies. You know what I mean? Like it's just we're not there yet. And I want us to be there, and we should be there, but we're not there yet.
And that's the philosophical point that I think it's the whole, do we stoop to their level or we rise higher? Do we suffer the hypocrisy that
the problem is our country is behind. Like they did it in Great Britain, they did it in Germany, they've done it all over the world. They've elected female heads of state, and we can't do it. And it's probably because of the 53% of people who decided that Donald Trump should get another shot at the White House.
I mean, if you think about it, women have only had the right to vote for 100 years, give or take 4. No, give or take 1.
And what a nice 100 years it was.
Yeah.
Right.
And essentially that just, yeah. And essentially, I mean, judging by some of the red states, like it's just an extra ballot for your husband to have a say. And that is insane, but it's their vote. Yeah. It is interesting. Just democracy. Like I love the democratic process. I love the fact that we have democracy in this country, and I hope to hell that we still have democracy in 4 years. That we've just been misinterpreting what he's been saying because of our TDS. But like, if in 4 years we're voting for him again for some reason, well, I'll be dead, but still.
No, I don't know. It's interesting because then you start to think about like who is going to come out of the woodwork. These sort of like the Trump acolytes, are going to be coming out like trying to be like a watered down version of Trump, and it's either just not going to translate, it's going to fall flat, or it's going to like really take hold.
Well, I mean, who on his team is actually on his team? Like JD Vance once said that Trump is the Hitler of our country. Like,
but then JD Vance, they bought him. Like he had no integrity.
Exactly. And what I'm saying, motherfucking gooseneck, Mitch McConnell said after the insurrection, this man should never be let back into the White House. 100% of Trump's, Mike Pence is the only person of that team. Well, I guess a couple generals came out against him, but like Mike Pence, oddly enough, don't disagree with him on a lot of stances, but I don't agree with him on a lot of stances, but somehow the voice of sanity amongst people that are Republican, that Trump is not fit for the position. Like, and people like, I've been on an unfollow spree. I just can't. But like people have been saying, 70 million people can't be wrong. And it's like 70 million people can't be racist.
They can. Oh my God.
And they are.
I mean, and this is the thing that's been going on. I saw some stuff. It was like a picture of Donald Trump, like sitting like with his head in his hands, and like literally like an apparition of Jesus with his hands on his shoulders. Like, I kid you not, because he won the election. Wow. And then people are like, well, I see people are saying like, if you voted this, unfriend me. If you voted that, unfriend me. Well, welcome to the real world where we can disagree with each other and still be friends. That is more gaslighting. If we disagree on what our favorite pizza topping is,
Yep.
sure. If we disagree on like how we think taxes should be assessed and allocated, sure.
Yep.
If we're talking about putting children in cages, telling women they can or can't do things that their body that they would like to do, etc.,
banning
we
books.
don't have a disagreement. We have a fundamental incompatibility. So therefore, if you voted for him, fuck off. Goodbye. And that does not make me a child. You are a child for voting for an individual who does not respect or revere human rights.
Correct.
And again.
Yeah. There's been a meme on the liberal side where they showed a picture of a guy that says we can disagree and still be friends with a big sign. He looks like Chuck Liddell with a bigger beard. And it says we can disagree, or on the sign it says we can disagree and still be friends, but it's there's a quote from James Baldwin where it says we can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist.
Well, not even mine, and it's not even mine specifically. It's just a general disregard for
James Baldwin was black.
Yeah, sure, but a general disregard for human rights,
right?
For dignity.
Yes, like LGBTQ people they exist. They didn't just magically appear. They've existed. They just couldn't exist in our society because of people with a narrow-minded view.
Yeah.
That
also the ones that didn't come out became ultra conservative. I just like to throw that out there.
Also true. You can find them in the Seattle airport bathroom.
Like JD Vance's eyeliner game is on point.
Just
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, JD Vance. So, no conviction.
Do we just at this point have a weekly podcast where we just scour the news reports and talk about the stupid wacky shit that Donald Trump did?
Honestly, I can't, we've done a lot of 90s.
Sure.
And I have been thinking about, because you said that at some point in this past week, and I'm like, that is actually a great idea until we get caught and killed.
Well, here's the thing, like conservatives, like their whole thing, like if they can get on the radio and talk some shit, like that's what they're all about. We have like NPR. Like really boring, fact-based. Like
NPR.
You would never like, say anything mildly denigrating toward the other side. It's all just very much like fact-based. There's not a lot of like, maybe there are, I'm not sure, like general liberal bitch shows that go on. And I think there's a market for that.
Yeah. I think on Twitch, there's some guy named Hassan Piker. That the right Hassan? He's like a political Twitch streamer. I don't know what side he falls on, but I feel like he's in touch with the millennial and the Zoomer Gen.
Although apparently Gen Z voted for Trump in fairly high numbers too. So
yes,
so this is the time to use our power for good.
I know our meager following and
but also the content writes itself.
Yeah.
Like what stupid shit did Donald Trump say this week?
And it probably won't be a 45 to 60 minute podcast like this one is. Yeah, it's
who's going in front of a firing squad this week. And at the end of the series, it's us.
Yeah.
That's the cliffhanger.
Did they survive? We may never know.
And I'm telling you, we're going to have the RFK Science Corner.
I like it.
That's going to be one of the segments we do.
Yeah. I studied some engineering. You studied biology. We might be able to talk science against anti-science.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look out for that coming post January 6th insurrection 2025. Yeah. But let's end on a high note. We've been bashing 73,406,176 people in this country over this podcast. Let's talk to our 69,070,375 friends out there that are listening to us. Obviously, they're listening to us. I just bumped my nose on my microphone. Let's just remind everyone that we're here, and if you need allies, if you need safe spaces, if you need someone to listen to, well, we're a 90s podcast, but we're still here for you.
It's 4 years.
It's
Nothing
4 years.
is done can be undone. Can't be undone, I should say.
True. And we might have to start earlier.
This is when we need to organize, unite, start thinking about who the next candidate's going to be, moderate a little bit. This is, in my opinion, not the time to lean far left. It's the time to lean slightly toward the center for the purpose of like getting shit done, you know?
Yes. Although socially, I don't know if I can do that.
Nah, not socially as much. Leaning more toward the center in
everything else.
Terms of like taxes and like, yes, green energy is important. We should be doing that. But we have to be a little bit cautious about it because the problem is if we keep losing, then we'll get none of the shit we want.
Correct. And it's hard to see an AOC presidency in 2048 if she's been jailed in 2022 or 2026. No, sorry. Good positive message.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, all will be well. No, we're gonna regroup. We're going to figure out what to do. I mean, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm actually going to volunteer in this next election cycle. I'll be sending every single one of you a text message from Kamala Harris.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna start TDS Anonymous. Hello, my name's Andrew, and I have TDS.
That should be that. Now that should be a Twitter handle. Yeah. Final thoughts for this. Is this even going to be a numbered episode, or is this just going to be
final thoughts? No, I guess we're gonna have to just wait and see how it pans out. So
true. We're recording this on Thursday, so maybe things have happened come Monday when you're possibly listening to this.
In the meantime, find us next week for more 90s related jazz. We do generally talk about the 90s, but
and jazz.
That little comment certainly needed to be addressed.
Again, shout out, like, if you want to listen to us, be the bigger person and cross the divide.
Unfollow.
He did. He already unfollowed. But yeah. I don't know. I mean, I appreciated that he didn't listen to us for the 6 months that he was following us.
Yeah, the fact that he's like annoyed about it's like, dude, like, not a surprise. We talked about it.
Clearly didn't listen. Yeah,
almost every episode.
And it's in the beginning.
GFYS.
Yeah. All right. Final. Yeah, I'll give you the closing thing, but that's it for this week's election edition of Namely 90s, post-election edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find more 90s episodes out every Monday. Find us on Instagram, Bluesky, and YouTube at Namely90s90s, and tell us what kind of TDS you like. If you would like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with 90s, because I'm sure that's something that still exists at this point that I haven't logged into for forever. Finally, you can contact us through our website, Namely90s.com, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, TDS, Pocket Cast, CastBox, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we'll catch you hopefully next time.
great 90s podcast lost to liberalism.